Dear students, this video is in continuation with the previous video of Act 4 Scene 1. I am on page number 114 of your textbooks. Just to recall, we had ended on the page 113 where Bassanio says, "Do all men kill the things they do not love?" So Bassanio is asking Shylock that do all people kill the person they do not love? So just to recall, Shylock said that he's taking a pound of flesh from Antonio's body and not 3,000 ducats because he hates him. So Shylock is asking him a question that do everybody kill a person that they do not love? Shylock, on hearing this, replies, hates any man the thing he would not kill. He says, is there any man who will not kill the thing that he truly hates? He says, everybody likes to kill a person whom he hates. So though they do not hate them, though they do not kill them actually, but they would definitely at some point of time, they would like to kill the person they hate. Bassanio, every offense is not at hate or not a hate at first. He says every fault need not be turned into a cause of hatred. So if Shylock is feeling offended because of Antonio, if Antonio has insulted him at some point of time, so it doesn't mean he need to hate him for that reason, and obviously it does not mean that he need to kill him just because he's feeling offended. Shylock, what wouldst thou have a serpent sting thee twice? He says, will you allow, serpent means snake. He's saying, will you allow a snake to bite you twice? Antonio was hearing the conversation between Bassanio and Shylock, and now he's saying he will give so many examples to prove that you can do so many things that are impossible, but you cannot convince the Jew, you cannot convince the Shylock. I pray you think you question with the Jew. He says, you must remember that you are arguing with the Jew. You may as well go stand upon the beach and bid the main flood bait his usual height. He says that you can go stand upon the seashore and request the high tide of water to lower than its usual height. Bid means ask, main flood means ocean tide, bait means reduce. He says that you can stand upon the beach and ask the ocean tide to reduce its height. That is possible, he says. Then you may as well question the wolf why he hath made the ewe bleat for the lamb. He says you can question the wolf who has killed a lamb, who has hunted a lamb, that why he has made the ewe bleat. Ewe means the mother sheep or the female sheep. Bleat here means cry painfully. He says that you can question the wolf that why he has made the mother sheep cry for its lamb. You may as well forbid the mountain pines to wag their high tops and to make no noise. He says that you can also forbid the mountain pines. Mountain pines here are the pine trees that grow on mountains. He says you can tell them, you can forbid them to the pine trees to wag their high tops. Wag means to wave, move to and fro like this. He says that when the pine trees move to and fro like this, they make a strange sound. Now you remember Mr. Oliver's story, Face in Dark, where pine trees made a airy sound. So when pine trees move to and fro like this, they make a certain sound. He says you can ask the pine trees to not wave their high tops and to make no noise. He says you can tell the pine trees to not move to and fro and not to make a noise. Stop making noise. When they are threatened with the gust of heaven. Gust of heaven here means winds from above. So threaten means blow. So he's saying that when the mountain pines, they move to and fro with because of the winds, they make certain noise. Says you can forbid those mountain pines to make that noise. So what is he saying in these lines? He says that you should remember that you are arguing with the Jew. You may stand on the seashore and ask the ocean tide to reduce its normal height. He says you might ask the wolf that why he has made the mother sheep mourn over the lamb. And he says that has been hunted, that has been devoured. He says you might also as well forbid the fine pine trees on mountains to sway their high tops and to make no noise when disturbed by the winds from above. He says they can ask the mountain trees to wave with the winds, but they shouldn't make any noise. Says you can do all these impossible things, but you cannot argue with the Jew. Then in the next line he says, you may as well do anything most hard and seek to soften that than which what's harder. He says that you may as well do anything most hard. He says you might as well do the most difficult thing in the world rather than the attempt thing still harder. He says rather than to make something that is more harder, even harder than the things mentioned above. Says you can do anything that is almost impossible, anything that is the most difficult thing in the world, but you cannot make an attempt to soften the Jew. So you cannot make an attempt to convince the Jew actually. As seek to soften that than which what's harder. So he's saying his Jewish heart. So what does he say here? That you cannot soften the heart of the Jew because it's very hard. You can do anything impossible. You can do the most difficult thing in the world, but you cannot ask the Jew to soften his heart. Therefore, I do beseech you. He says, therefore, beseech means request. He says, therefore, I request you, make no more offers. Use no further means. He says, therefore, I request you not to make any more offers and not to take any more steps. For no further means do not try to convince Shylock anymore with any more offers. But with all brief and plain conveniency, let me have my judgment and the Jew his will. So what does he say in these lines? He says, but with all due speed and simplicity, as it is convenient to you, let me have the judgment and let the Jew has his will. So he is almost as if surrendered to his fate. So he is ready to face the consequences. So he is telling Bassanio now that you need not argue with the Shylock. He is not going to soften his heart. You can do anything that is most difficult in this world, but you cannot soften Jew's heart. Therefore, he says that you just let me, in a simple terms, he says, as it's convenient to you, let me have the judgment and let the Jew do whatever he wants. Let him have his will. That is a pound of flesh. Now Bassanio says to Shylock, he talks to Shylock, for thy 6,000 ducats, here is 6. So now he's offering him 6,000 ducats instead of 3,000 ducats. So what does Shylock say on hearing this? If every ducat in 6,000 ducats were in 6 parts and every part a ducat, I would not draw them. I would have my bond. So what does he say here? Here he says that if each of 6,000 ducats were divided into 6 parts and each part was a ducat. He says if every ducat was divided into every ducat of 6,000 ducats was divided into 6 parts and every part was a ducat, yet he would not accept that. He would only have his bond. So he's just so keen and he's just so eager and thirsty to have a pound of flesh from Antonio's body, and he is not ready to accept any offer given by Bassanio. Moving on to the next page now. So on next page, Duke says, how shall thou hope for mercy rendering none? She says, how can you hope for God's mercy if you are not showing it to others? Shylock, on hearing this, says, what judgment shall I dread going no wrong? He says that what judgment do I fear when I have not done anything wrong? So he still feels that he has done nothing wrong. So Shylock feels as if he has done nothing wrong. He says, why should I be afraid of any judgment when I have not done anything wrong? You have among you many a purchased slave, which, like your asses and dogs and mules, you use in abject and slavish parts. So he's saying, now he's trying to prove that whatever he's doing, he's not wrong at that. So what is he saying here? He says, he's asking the people who are sitting there that many of you might possess slaves whom you have purchased, whom you have paid for, and you have purchased those slaves for yourself, and you make them work like dogs, donkeys, and mules. You make them work like animals. You use in abject and slavish parts. He says that you use them as you use your donkeys and your dogs and mules because you have bought them. So why do you treat them like this? Because you have brought them. So you have paid for those slaves. So that is why you make them do work like animals. So you make them work like animals because you have paid for them. So what is he trying to say here? Why is he mentioning this example here? He just wants to state that he has paid for a pound of flesh of Antonio's body. He has paid 3,000 ducats for that. And now, since he has purchased it, there's nothing wrong if he's demanding for that. So saying, shall I say you? So the Duke says, no, that you will not have any mercy when you're not giving any mercy. So how can you hope for God's mercy if you do not show mercy to others? So saying, why don't people show mercy to the slaves whom they make them work like animals? Why don't they treat them like their sons and daughters? So why do they treat them like animals and make them do all sort of laborious jobs? So why do they do that? Just because they have bought them? So if they are right at treating their slaves like that, he is also right at taking a pound of flesh from Antonio's body. So later he says, shall I say you, let them be free, marry them to your hires? He says, if I say these people who have purchased these slaves, if I tell them that give them freedom and allow them to marry your children, and if I say them, why sweat they under burdens? He says, why do they sweat by carrying heavy loads? Let their beds be made soft as yours. He says, if I tell these people who have slaves that the slaves should be provided with beds as soft as their own bed, and if I say, and let their plates be seasoned with such vents, he says, if I tell them to be treated or given the same food as you are given, so what would be their answer? So he's asking this question. So he says, you will answer that slaves are yours. He says, to all these questions, if I ask the people that who have purchased slaves, if I ask all these people these questions, that why don't they give the slaves the freedom and marry their children to them, and why do they have to sweat under heavy loads, and why don't the people why are the servants not provided with soft beds like their masters, or why are they not given the same food as their masters? And he says, if you are asked this question, you will say that the slaves are ours. That means you have purchased those slaves. That is why it's all up to you how you treat them. So then he says, so do I answer you. So similarly, he says, I will answer you. The pound of flesh which I demand of him is dearly bought. So this is where he answers. This is where he is trying to prove that he is right at taking a pound of flesh. So he's saying that I have paid for the pound of flesh. And that is why he says, I'm not showing any mercy to him. which I demand of him. He says, the pound of flesh which I demand of him is dearly bought. It's mine and I'll have it. So since I've paid off for it, it's mine. The pound of flesh from Antonio's body is his. And therefore, he says, I will have that pound of flesh. If you deny me, fie upon your law. Says, if you deny me what I lawfully am right at, you then it's shame upon your law. There is no force in the decrees of Manus. I stand for judgment. Answer shall I have it. So he's saying here that there is no force in the authority or in the laws of Vanish to stop me from taking what I am lawfully correct. So he's saying, shall I have it? So he's questioning the Duke now. Shall I legally have the authority to take a pound of flesh from Antonio's body? He says there's no legal authority in Venice to deny him from taking a pound of flesh from Antonio's body. He says, I demand the judgment now. I am standing here for the judgment, and he's asking the Duke to answer him whether he'll have a pound of flesh from Antonio's body or not. So Duke, on hearing this, says, upon my power I may dismiss the court. So he says, with my authority. So now, see, earlier he has challenged the law. So he says, law according, there is no authority in the law of Venice that can deny him from taking a pound of flesh. So on hearing this, Duke says that with my authority I can adjourn the court. He can adjourn, he can cancel the court's meeting on that day. So he says, unless Bellario, a learned doctor whom I have sent for to determine this, come here today. He says that he can adjourn the court unless Bellario, a learned doctor of law, whom he had requested to come and settle this case, comes here today, that day. So he's saying unless Dr. Bellario comes there that day, he has the authority to dismiss the court, to adjourn the court. On hearing this, Bellario says, my lord, here stays without a messenger with letters from the doctor, new come from Padua. So Salario says, he addresses the Duke as my lord. He says a messenger from the doctor from Padua is waiting outside with letters. So a messenger has come from Dr. Bellario, who is waiting outside the court with letters from Dr. Bellario. So Duke says, bring us the letters, call the messenger. Moving on to next page now. So the Duke has ordered to bring the letters and the messenger inside the court. So Bassanio says, good cheer, Antonio. What man, courage yet. So Bassanio is trying to cheer up Antonio. He says him, cheer up, Antonio, have some courage. The Jew shall have my flesh, blood, bones, and all, or thou shalt lose from me one drop of blood. So he says, the Jew will have all my blood, flesh, and bones, or means before you lose one drop of blood blood on my account. So he is saying that you will not lose even a single drop of blood because of me. So why is he saying because of me? Because, and whatever is happening to Antonio, it's all because of Bassanio. So he has he has signed the bond with the Shylock just because Bassanio wanted 3,000 ducats. So Bassanio is telling Antonio to cheer up now. He's saying that you should have courage, and the Jew will have all my here is Bassanio. He's saying the Jew will have all my flesh, bones, and blood before you lose one drop of blood on my account. You lose for me one drop of blood. So Antonio, on hearing this, says, I am a tainted wither of the folk. He's saying tainted wither here means diseased sheep. He compares himself to a diseased sheep in the herd. Flock means in the herd. So he says, I am like a diseased sheep, sick sheep in the herd, meetest for death, more suitable to be slaughtered earlier than others. So saying, I am like a diseased sheep that is most suitable to be slaughtered, to be murdered, to be killed, to be to face death. The weakest kind of fruit drops earliest to the ground. He says that the weakest fruit falls earliest from the tree, and so let me die. So he's saying, and so let me here means so let me die. He's comparing himself to the sick sheep, to a diseased sheep that is most suitable to death, to meet death. And he's also comparing him with the weakest fruit that fall earlier from the tree, and therefore he says, so let me die. He says, I am most suitable to die. You cannot better be employed, Bassanio, than to live still and write mine epitaph. Says you will be fitting, it will be a fitting task for you to live and write the inscription on my tombstone. So what is an epitaph? It is an inscription on the tombstone. So if you have ever, if you have visited a graveyard or you have seen it in movies, so on every tomb there is something written describing about the person who's buried in that tomb, who's buried in that grave. So that inscription written at the tomb of that person or the grave of that person is epitaph. So that is the inscription on the tombstone. So a tombstone is there beside the tomb, and something is written on that. That is epitaph. He says you need to live and you need to write mine epitaph. So now Nerissa, dressed like a lawyer's clerk, enter the court. Duke, come you from Padua, from Bellario? So the Duke is asking this clerk now, Nerissa now, that have you come from Padua and from Bellario? That have you come from Dr. Bellario from Padua? Nerissa says, from both, my lord. Bellario greets your grace. He says, yes, from Padua and from Bellario, my lord. Bellario sends his greeting for your grace. So he's saying that Bellario has sent his greeting for the Duke Bassanio. Why dost thou whet thy knife so earnestly? So he's saying, why are you sharpening your knife so earnestly? So he could see, Bassanio could see Shylock sharpening his knife. He says, why do you sharpen your knife with so much attention? So he's asking Shylock to cut the forefeature from the bankrupt there. So who's the bankrupt here? So the bankrupt here is Antonio. So Antonio is the bankrupt. He's saying that I am sharpening my knife because I want to cut a pound of flesh from Antonio's body. That is the forefeature, no? The pound of flesh. Grishanio, not on thy soul, but on thy soul. So you need to understand the meaning of SOLE soul and SOUL soul. SOLE soul here is the sole of shoe. So he's saying that it is not the sole of your shoe, but on your soul. Soul here is your inner self. Harsh Jew, thou makest the knife keen. Keen means sharp. He's saying that it's not on the sole of your shoe, but on your soul. SOUL soul. Harsh you that you are sharpening your knife. But no metal can not the hagsman's knife bear half the keenness of thy sharp envy. So he's saying that no metal, not even the axe of hangman. Hangman is the person who is known to, see it's mentioned here, hangman is a person who is known to cut the heads of people. Hagsmen are the criminals, are the executors, hagsmen are the executors who behead the prisoner for their crimes. So they cut off the head from their body. So the axe they use is really very sharp. Obviously it will be sharp because it cuts off the head from a human body. So it's very sharp. So now here Gashani is comparing the envy of Shylock with that of any metal or even Hagman's axe. So he's saying that not even the axe of the Hagman could ever become so sharp as your malice. Malice here means wrong intentions. So he's saying that you have such a sharp envy that even the Hagman's axe is not as sharp as your envy. So what does he say in these lines? He says that it is not on the sole of your shoe, but on your own soul, 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 harsh you, that you are sharpening your knife. No metal, not even the axe of Hagman, can have half the sharpness of your envy. So that is what he means in these lines. Can no prayers pierce thee? So he says, can no prayers penetrate your heart? Can no prayers, no request soften your heart? And can you not leave Antonio, or can you not forgive Antonio and not take a pound of flesh from his body? On hearing this, Shylock says, no, none that thou hast wit enough to make. So what does he say in these lines? He says that no, none that you are clever enough to make. He says you are not clever enough to make me change my decision. So he's saying that I will definitely have a pound of flesh from Antonio's body, and you are not intelligent enough to make me change my decision. Grishanio, oh, be thou damned, inexorable dog. So he's saying, you may be damned, you shameless man. Inexorable means one who cannot be insulted and cursed enough. So there are no words to accuse or insult or curse Shylock. He's beyond all these words. And for thy life, let justice be accused. He says that justice should be blamed for letting you live. So saying that it's all fault of justice that you are still living. You should be dead because you're so mean and so full of revenge. Thou almost makes me waver in my faith to hold opinion with Pythagoras. He says that you need to understand who is Pythagoras. Pythagoras is a Greek philosopher. Refer to reference number 133 in your textbooks. So it's written, Pythagoras, a Greek philosopher who believed that souls of men and animals appeared several times on earth, assuming sometimes higher and sometimes lower forms of life. So he is saying that I have almost doubted my religious faith. Waver means you have shaken my faith in Christianity. And to hold the opinion, he says, I agree with the opinion of Pythagoras that souls of animals infuse themselves into the trunks of men. So he says, infuse means enter into. Trunks means bodies. So he says that you have so shaken my faith in Christianity that I agree with Pythagoras, according to whom the souls of animals enter into the bodies of men. So he's feeling now that if Shylock's body has a soul of animal. So he's saying, thy courage spirit governed a wolf. So what does he mean in these lines? Courage here means dog-like. So he says that your dog-like spirit governed a wolf. Governed here means was inhabited in the body of a wolf. Lived in the body of a wolf. Governed, you can simple meaning could be lived. He says that your evil spirit or your dog-like spirit once lived in the body of a wolf who hanged for human slaughter. Lived in a body of wolf who was hanged for killing men, killing humans. So the wolf that was hanged for killing humans, that soul lived in your body. So he means that your evil spirit once lived in the body of a wolf who was hanged for killing men. Even from the gallows did his fell soul flee, and whilst thou layest in the unholy dam. So you need to mark the meanings before I explain you the line. Gallows is the place of hanging criminals. You have read this word in the poem Patriot also. So it is a place where criminals are being hanged. Fleet means vanish. Unhallowed means unholy. And dam means mother. So what does he mean in these lines? He says, Greshanio says to Shylock that when the wolf was hanged, his wild soul. So the wolf that was hanged for killing humans. So from that gallows, he was hanged in the gallows, no, the place where humans are executed. So that wolf was hanged there, and from there only his soul escaped directly from his body into the body of your unholy mother. So unhallowed mother. So Grishani is calling his mother also unholy, since his mother has given birth to such a merciless person. So he's saying that when the wolf was hanged in the gallows, so the wild soul escaped from his body and entered into the body of your unholy mother, infused itself in thee. And he says it entered into you consequently when you were still unborn. For thy desires are wolfish, bloody, starved, and ravenous. So he says, because your desires are wolf-like, bloodthirsty, starved, and hungry. So he's saying, since you have very wolfish kind of traits, that is why he says that he agrees with the opinion of Pythagoras that souls of animals enters the body of humans. He says, as if your dog-like spirit lived in a wolf which was hanged for human slaughter, which was hanged for killing human, and from gallows, and from the gallows means the place of execution, and where the wolf was hanged, from there only his soul from there its soul vanished, and whilst thou layest in thy unhallowed dam. And he says that it entered into the unholy womb of your mother, and it consequently entered into thee while Shylock was in the womb of his mother and he was still unborn. The soul of the wolf entered into his body. He's saying so because the desires of Shylock are very wolfish, bloody, starved, and ravenous. So that is why he says so. Ravenous means hungry. Wolfish means wolf-like. So on hearing this, Shylock says, till thou canst rail the seal from off my bond, thou but offendest thy lungs to speak so loud. He's saying that, until you can use your abusive words to cancel the bond. Says only if you can use your abusive words to cancel the bond. Otherwise, he says, you are just harming your lungs by speaking so loud. So that is what he says. He says until your abusive words destroy the agreement, that is the bond. He says until that happens, otherwise he says you are only harming your lungs by speaking like this, by speaking so loudly. Repair thy wit, good youth, or it will fail to cureless ruin. So he says either you repair thy wit. He says either you come to your senses or you will destroy yourself. So he is reminding him that no words can make him change his decision. He's just telling him that whatever is mentioned in the bond, that cannot change. So you're just harming your lungs by speaking so loudly and by abusing me. He says that you need to repair your wit. Says that you need to be more wise. You need to be more sensible, young man, or it will fail to cureless ruin. Or he says you will destroy yourself beyond repair. I stand here for law. He says I am standing here because I want justice. I'm claiming for justice here. So now Duke says, this letter from Bellario doth commend a young and learned doctor to our court. Where is he? So the Duke has read the letter given by Nerissa to him. So he's saying that this letter from Bellario recommends a young learned lawyer to the court. So he's asking that where is that young learned doctor? So on hearing this, Nerissa says, he attendeth here hard by. So he's saying that he is nearby, close by. Hard by means close by. To know your answer, whether you'll admit him. So he's saying that Nerissa, who is dressed up, disguised as a clerk of the lawyer, she says that he is standing just close by and he's waiting for your answer to know whether you will use his services or not. So I will be ending this video here. I hope you have understood. I'll be continuing the rest in the next video. Thank you so much.